Ladies and gentlemen, the moose is loose, and let me tell you, it is good to be back. I know it's been a couple months since you have seen a video from me, but rest assured that I have been thinking of you. It's just life happens and can't always be planned. But I am back here, and I do just want to thank you for all the love. We did get the opportunity to hit 200 subscribers, and for the small moose in the big world, that's actually a lot, and I do just want to say thank you for that. But I know what you are here for, and it's not me just saying thank you. It is Guardian content. That or you accidentally clicked on this because you thought it might have been a money-making video guide. Rest assured, there will be another gold guide coming out. But in today's video, we will be looking at patch 10.2.5, which comes out January 16th. There's not really Guardian changes or PvP changes in general. So going into this 10.2.5 update, we're going to be covering a couple of the things that I've been running into as I've been seeing some other Guardians out there and just watching them just fall over dead or lose bases. So with this update, we're going to be looking at a couple things. First is going to be stat priority, followed with talent build changes, as well as best practices, so you just don't fall over and hang out with your ancestors in the graveyard. And then, of course, probably the one most single important macro that for some reason I'm not seeing many Guardians run. So if you really want to know and make sure you are playing to your best, I definitely recommend that you stay to the end and make sure you got this macro added to your toolbox. All right, so turning first to stat priority, we're looking at agility, versatility, mastery, haste, and crit. That should be your staple. I know I'm seeing a lot of Guardians out there running haste. It's okay, especially if you're off-specking Boomy, but with how bursty the meta is, the more mastery you have, the larger your health pools, and the more of a meat shield you become. Because as I've discussed in previous videos, the way our mitigation works, it takes some time to build up. Like excluding throwing a bark skin in a stun, you have to build rage, and if you can't build rage fast enough, yeah, you're gonna have a bad time. Not to mention our mitigation of magic is definitely defensive reliance. So if you don't pop a trinket and get the CD in just in the right moment, also going to have a bad time. Fluffing that out. So for PvE, haste is generally preferred just because it's going to be helping you with your refresh rate. That's why mastery as a stat is so important, because that is going to be your overall health pool. So turning now to the talent builds, the previous builds that I discussed in the 10.2 video are still valid approaches. I would still recommend them. I have found this to be rather fun and pleasantly enjoyable, as I find especially people that don't pay attention literally killed themselves upon myself. So what we're doing here is we're just leaning into the fact that the more frenzied regeneration we put out and the more armor that we put out while during sleeper, we are increasing our overall shield with some thorns and then doubling down when it comes to adding thorns of iron to it, which is further compounded if you're using the Toxified Armor Patch as well as the Slimy Expulsion Boots. It's still relative to what I presented in the previous video, but just leaning into the tier set. For the sake of a shorter video, I'm not going to go too much in it, just going to touch on the highlights. But definitely, if you have any more questions, just let me know in the comments or jump in stream. I'd be more than happy to answer your questions. But at least initially here, what we're looking at is the base sitting guide. Really only important thing, and we'll kind of circle back around on that, going to be between the Untamed Savagery as well as the Flashing Claws. So especially for base sitting, and if you are being aware of what the enemy team is, this additional thrash range, that's also going to be benefited here by the Astral Influence, the combo of that being the 14 yards. So looking now at the flag carrying build, it's going to be fairly similar to what we were seeing in the base sitting, but since we're not just sitting on our butts, we going to change it up a little bit. You will see that there's some prioritization over here for speed, tireless pursuit. But also, I know I've talked about this before, don't be afraid to switch things around, like especially if you can flap with the flag. You can head over to this direction, get into Moonkin form, and then, like always, remove corruptions, one of those. Take it if you need it. If not, put it somewhere else. Looking at the Guardian side, however, like I was saying, it is pretty similar. You still see us leaning into the Thorns of Iron, but we are listing away from the Flashing Claws in lieu of getting over here to Ursoc's Guidance. The thought here is there's a lot more pressure. There's not always the same amount of downtime when it comes to getting those CDs to come back off cooldown. And especially with how bursty it is at the moment, it's not uncommon for you to have to pop Rage of the Sleeper with Incarnation Guardian of Ursoc. This just allows you to get that shield up quickly, as well as maximize that Thorns damage. The burst is pretty phenomenal. I'm sure as you've been playing Guardian, you've been run over by DHs, Hunters, hopefully not Rogues, but at high stacks, definitely Assassin Rogues will run you over. But staying alive is the goal here. So running Incarn with Ursoc's Guidance, as well as making sure that you have Emerald Slumber, that does help you keep your windows a little bit more tighter so you can maximize popping those cooldowns. Keeping this video moving along quickly, as I made mention of, just wanted to briefly talk about some best practices. I have been seeing some Guardian Druids of late instantly fall over when picking up a flag or instantly losing a base. So just wanted to take a couple moments here to highlight some, like I said, best practices. So we're looking at remembering that your mitigation takes time. If you're sitting a stun, you're not building up your rage, so you can't use your Iron Firm, you can't use your Frenzied Regeneration. If you're sitting in a stun, your only go-to is either going to be Bark Skin immediately or Trinket Big CD, because, like I said, it takes time for you to build that rage. So if you got a lot of damage coming up, you got to be ready for it, because otherwise you're so far behind, you're just going to fall over. You want to be judicious, but come on, if you pick up a flag, you know the enemy team has a rogue. Outside of them maybe slowing you by sapping you and blinding you, eventually they're going to open. And when they do open, they're going to hurt. Continuing along with that mitigation aspect, that's why Mastery as a stat is so important, because that is going to be your overall health pool, right? The more Mastery you have, the more health you have, the more you can take a hit, the more you can bounce back from that hit, because it takes you some time to build that rage to hit that Frenzied Regeneration, let alone further Iron Furs. So if you see a bunch of Chaos Bolts coming, see a couple combustions, like, you need to be hitting those defensives early to save yourself from the damage. You will just fall over. Like, if you're not hitting anything, if you're being run down with range, you're not going to be able to build that rage. Yeah, going to be a bad time. All right, at the start of this video, I promised you a very important macro that I just haven't seen a lot of Guardian Druids using, and I wanted to bring attention to it because it is a very important macro. It is a CancelForm macro. I know it sounds silly. It does, but for some reason, I'm still seeing so many Guardians either get feared off of a flag or even just get hibernated. It is redonkulous. So if you haven't already, I highly recommend that you put this on your toolbar, put it to a keybind, and make it happen. Because sitting a base can be hard enough. I mean, sometimes it's largely boring, but when you have to do something, it's really important. And there's generally a set few classes that are going to come after your base. And those classes do tend to have something that CancelForm will work with. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it, the 10.2.5 update for Guardian Druids. Not really too exciting because there's not really that much going on. I mean, I think the biggest highlight here is, they had us vote for the tier sets, and everyone loved tier 2 of Guardian Druids. Going into Season 4, we get to look forward to tier 2. Tier 2 is a good tier. Can't really complain. Surprised that everyone voted for it, right? Right? Nonetheless, though, I appreciate your patience getting into this video. If you liked it and are happy to see me back and want to continue to prove to the wife that this is a worthwhile adventure, please go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, as it does help me out because it does allow me the opportunity to do fun things. So, speaking of fun things, we are still doing the giveaways with the gold making that we are doing. And like I said, do stay tuned. There will be some more gold making guides come out. But for at least right now, that means raffles. With those raffles including WoW tokens, as well as I'll be giving out 4 epic editions of the new expansion before it releases. If you haven't already jumped in stream and said hello and got some entries in, highly recommend you do so, because we will be drawing this month's raffle on January 28th. And that will also happen to be a tutu stream because you viewers love me and I love you guys, and you guys wanted me in a tutu. So yeah, that's going to be fun. Definitely swing on in, come say hello, and yeah, let's go have some fun. As always, it's a pleasure. This is Moosin. Take care of yourself.